What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another game recap video. Now, before I show you my game, first I wanted to apologize for not uploading for over a week. The thing is, my wife and I were traveling for a few days as a late celebration of our first anniversary, and then we came back home, and then my computer died, so I couldn't do anything. So yeah, I had to get that fixed ASAP, but now I'm ready and I'm ready to continue putting out more content for you guys. So this is going to be game 7 of the Sounds Open. And as usual, first I want to show you what I had to say right after the game ended. So let's start off with that and I will see you in a little bit.
Uh, I'm, I'm really pissed. I'm so mad. uh, I don't think I should have lost. I definitely shouldn't have lost. I definitely shouldn't have lost. This was a good opportunity. This was definitely a good opportunity. Um, yeah. So I played against an almost 2,500 Serbian international master. Um, Obviously, an ambitious player going for his GM norms and GM title. Um, I was black. It was a Grunfeld. I don't know. I prepped. I kind of forgot my preparation, to be honest, but it was still fine. And yeah, I don't know. I just screwed it up. I was so slow, and I don't know. I've He was also in time trouble. I was in time trouble, and I missed some good chances. I don't know. I feel like he didn't beat me. I feel like he did not beat me. I feel like I outplayed myself. Like I just beat myself, and that's what really bothers me. I felt like I'm really you know doing everything that he is doing, and so I just didn't feel the overwhelming power. I thought like, okay, I'm black. He's gonna whoop my ass or whatever. But like it didn't happen, and I think that's what really bothers me. So yeah. Funny thing was, after the game, I mean, he's a nice guy, of course, but he after the game, we talked, we analyzed a little bit, and he was like, this was pretty much his last thing, or the last thing that he said to me was like, well, you don't compete, and so because of it you play slow or something like that. And I was like, yep, that's pretty much sums it up. I'm just so indecisive. I'm so not confident. But I just, the skill was there. But yeah, chess is not just about skills. Obviously, I'm missing a lot of skills as well. But like, it's anyway. I'm rambling here, and I could just go on and on and on forever. Especially when I'm pissed. It's just anyway. Yeah. Okay. I hope at least we can learn something from this game. So yeah, let's do that. Yeah. So I'll see you on the analysis board.
Too weak, too slow, to quote the classics.
2 weeks too slow.
It is what it is. Let me show you what happened in this one. So, as I said, this is round 7 of the Sounds Open. I'm playing against Ratkovic Milovan, who is a almost 2,500 player from Serbia, an international master. And he started with d4. I responded with knight f6, and I picked the Grunfeld variation against him. This was one of the lines that I checked against him. He responded with c takes e5, knight takes e5, e4, knight takes, b takes, bishop g7, bishop c4, c5, knight e2, knight c6, bishop e3, castle. So far, nothing new. This is still very much the main line. Now, usually white castles short, and that's how most of the games start. But my opponent played the move h4. Now, that didn't surprise me. This was one of the lines that I prepared for. This is one of his, I guess, favorite sidelines. He had quite some games in the databases, so I I was ready for it, I guess. C takes d4, C takes d4, queen a5 check, king f1, queen a3. So this is the position I definitely remembered. So up until this point, I was quite confident, but this was pretty much it. And after this, everything just more or less fell apart, unfortunately, because I forgot the preparation again. Memorization for me apparently is is a big problem. To have a little bit of an excuse, there was obviously a lot of different lines that I had to check, and this line in itself is also rather complicated, but you might just call me a little bit stupid. That's also fair enough. It is what it is. Now, there are, as I said, a lot of moves here. So one of them is h5, logical. Rook c1 is another, and also, for instance, bishop b3. And here I just couldn't really figure out the my preparation. So what's I feel like a little bit awkward about this is that bishop b3 is a very natural move. So bishop b3 makes sense because it closes the third rank, and also it puts the bishop or puts the bishop on a safer square. So it just simply makes sense. And this is, I would say, this is a tip that I would give you guys when you're preparing for a game, or when you're even like learning the lines. Make sure to understand the opening, and understand, the natural moves first, like the human moves, the human reactions, even if they're not so good. Now, in this case, the bishop b3 is one of the best moves anyway, and I just forgot. So I should have focused on, a little bit more on the natural, the human move. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't check the forcing lines. You should check everything, but also don't just pay attention to the very boom, 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 forcing lines, because you also have to check, these type of moves. So that's a takeaway. Now, I did remember rook d8, so this was somewhat okay. h5, and this is where I completely drew blank. I was like, for the life of me, I'm like, I have no idea. Now, I had a vague, idea, or a memory of I have to do something with the bishop on b3. So I did that. It just the execution was not good. So I ended up playing knight a5, which is not a bad move, but a5 would have been better. And after a5, there's the line still goes on, but black should be okay. And I played knight a5, and he responded with h takes g6, which is again a very natural human reaction. I don't know if it's the best, but the alternatives aren't that much better either. Maybe h6, which is a somewhat of a counterintuitive move, because why do you push the pawn to all the way to h5 just to push h6? But at the same time, h6 is going to be very, very annoying to deal with in the long run. So it's interesting. Maybe king g1 is another option, but I think his move h takes g6 makes sense. Takes back, knight f4. And now it may look like that the attack is quite annoying, or there is something rather dangerous on the h file, but actually, it just looks dangerous, but there's really nothing. Not much going on. Black shouldn't get checkmated on the h file. Now, of course, I did get checkmated on the h file, but that's a different story. Now, I took on b3, makes sense. A takes b3, and this is where I made, I think, the first, inaccuracy. So I played queen b2, which is okay. I'm not saying this is a bad move, but it's definitely an inaccurate move. A better move would have been queen d6, and I'm not even sure why I didn't play queen d6. It just feels like a very natural move to get back more towards the center and closer to my pieces. It makes sense. I'm not sure. I remember that, okay, I saw e5 is not an option because I can just take it and I'm basically winning. But I wasn't sure about this queen f3. I really don't want to take on d4, because if I take on d4, then rook d1 happens. I mean, that's annoying. I have to play e5, but then white goes knight d5. And then here I was like, I don't know, like bishop g5 is coming. I'm a little bit weak on the dark squares. I might end up getting checkmated on the h file. I was, I don't know. This didn't appeal to me. Now, of course, I didn't see the good move here, which was f5. f5 is a great move. Now, the next couple of moves are going to be a little bit messy. So bishop g5, but these are objectively speaking are the best moves. Pawn takes, knight f6, takes, takes. After rook d4, black actually survives. Now it looks funky, but it's actually okay. Rook c1, king f7, bishop b5, rook d5, and I'm up a pawn, but of course white has very good initiative. Again, according to the engine, obviously no surprises here. This is an engine line. It does even look like and feel like an engine line. But according to the engine, black is completely fine here. I don't know. Like, yes, queen d6 was the best move. Can I be blamed for not, seeing all of this? Yes, but in reality, I'm not too sure about that. Anyway, I played queen b2. And my opponent reacted with knight e5, which is, again, not necessarily the best. But again, the alternatives are not that much better either. And to be honest, from a practical perspective, knight e5 was indeed a really, really complicated and move for me to deal with, right? So, and I did react poorly, unfortunately. So, the alternative would have been something like knight d3, perhaps. But after queen c3, rook c1, okay, queen a5, at least you get to play d5, but I can develop with bishop d7. It's not that big of a deal. Maybe rook b1, but then there's like some of these weird lines here with bishop g4, f3, queen c3. Little bit of everything is happening here. But again, black should be okay at the end of the lines. Now, white played, as I said, knight d5. And so this is where I made the mistake and where the game turned into, for the lack of the better word, a shit show. Now, I played e6, as I said, bad move. There are two good moves here that I saw, but I missed a very basic idea, and that's why I ended up not going for it. So it's either bishop g4 or bishop e6. There are a few differences between the two. I don't want to get into like the detail of all the little blinds here. So I just want to show you, and I just want to point out the main move that I missed, and everything else that we have here and that you can see here is just the bonus. So basically, by the way, bishop g4 should be the very best and the most precise. But again, I just want to show you the basic thing that I missed. So bishop e6. So generally speaking, I was not afraid of knight e7. Knight e7 is still here an interesting line, but okay, after king f8, there's some weird rook h7 lines and so on, but black is fine. So this was not the line that I was mainly afraid of. The line I was afraid of was rook b1, and after queen a2, again, white goes knight c7. So again, here there is knight e7 check and king f8, rook h7 against some super complicated lines. At the end, black is fine. But again, everything is just a bonus, as I said. It should be okay. I just want to point out the super simple move that I missed. So knight c7, and I was like, okay, well, this is just simply bad because opponents are going to take on e6. So again, I want to point out at least one bonus because it's just, I think it's a nice little line. For instance, I have rook takes d4 here that I completely missed, right? Rook takes d4 it's quite awesome because, okay, rook queen is hanging, so you take, I take back. Now your pawn is hanging on f2 with a checkmate threat. You protect it, but I can still take it because the queen is a bit overloaded. Let's say you play rook a1 and I take on b3, and I'm going to win the knight back. So it doesn't matter how you take on f2. If you go king f2, I have queen c2 check and take the knight. If you go take with the queen, I have queen c4 check and then take the knight. And so I'm winning. If queen e2, I have like bishop c4 or something. Yeah. So, but again, everything is just an additional, option for me. The main move that I missed, I was like, okay, knight c7. I still didn't finish my calculation, which is good. And here, I still didn't finish my calculation. I just very simply missed the right move. I thought that the only move is f takes e6, and I didn't really like this structure, understandably so. Like, this is not as bad, by the way, as I thought during the game, but it is bad. Like, I am worse here. But there's a very, very simple move here, guys. Very simple. And I'm sure like it's screaming at me, and I'm sure it's screaming at you as well. Like, very simple, right? I have queen a6 check, and then I take the knight back with the queen, and I don't have to commit to any weakness. That was a very simple, very, very simple move that I missed, right? So again, bishop g4 is an even better version of all of these lines, but believe me, these lines are completely fine. But now I ended up playing e6, and in the game, I convinced myself that e6 is a good move, actually. So I played e6 with relative confidence. Of course, I spent a lot of time here. And then once I played e6, classic, right? What happens when you play the move? Up until that point, you don't see it, right? In your calculation, you don't see it. Once you play the move, you immediately recognize it. And I was like, I played e6, couple minutes, goes by, and then I was like, oh crap, I just blundered. I just blundered. And I did blunder, funnily enough, but not for the reason that I thought I blundered. But this, spiraled into like some of the craziest lines, and then of course some of the craziest decisions. Let me show you. I get a little bit too excited here. Let me show you. So I thought that this is a huge blunder because of knight b6. I can take, right, because of the pin. And if I just move the rook away, knight a4, and I have to resign because the queen is trapped. And I was like, oh crap. But okay, I was like, okay, maybe I can still save it. Okay, I can't really play bishop d4 because bishop d4 is met by rook b1. Rook b1, bishop takes, and this endgame is just, okay, I'm down on exchange. I only have a pawn for it. This should be lost. Right? So, but I was like, okay, maybe I have rook takes d4. And I was actually quite excited because if bishop takes d4, I have bishop takes d4. Again, your pawn is hanging on f2. And now this time your rook is also hanging on a1. So you play rook a2, takes. I have queen b1 check, king e2, queen takes, knight a8, queen h4. And actually black is fine. Black is actually even better in this endgame, just a little bit. Now, I wouldn't say that I saw everything here. Okay, that would be a stretch, borderline, a lie. But I did see some of it, right? But the main problem was that I thought rook d4 was just simply met by knight a8, right? And after rook d1, and I thought the position is terrible, and it is terrible, but it's terrible for white because I can just simply play bishop f6. And actually, black is borderline winning here. Like this is almost a -5 position. So I'm gonna take on b3, and your knight is very likely gonna be trapped, and I'm just winning here. Now, here I completely misevaluated. I thought this was bad for me, and then it turns out that this is like winning for me. Now at the end of the game, we talked, or we had a little conversation, a small analysis with my opponent, and we talked about this moment, and I mentioned this to him, and he was like, yeah, I saw it, but this is like terrible for me, no? And I was like, what? No, it's terrible for me. And he was like, no, it's terrible for me. I'm like, you're stupid. No, you're stupid. That didn't happen. But anyway, I was the stupid one, right? He's completely right. This is terrible for white. But this was my mindset, that I basically knight b6 just wins the game, or like, yeah, I'm lost. Anyway, game goes on, right? But my opponent in this position, e6, decides to play rook b1, and I was like, wait a second, did my opponent just doesn't see the line or doesn't see the move? I'm like, it's crazy, or maybe it's just a repetition kind of move. And so because I thought that this is just a repetition, I ended up playing queen a3, which is actually not even that bad of a move, or it's not bad because of the move that I thought, and also my opponent thought the same thing, that it's bad because of that move. So we both, miscalculated here beautifully. Because so I wanted to play queen a2. And I was like, okay, if queen a2, then I'm good. I have nothing to worry about. But I didn't play queen a2. Like I feel like it's so complicated, and maybe I'm telling this story and I'm analyzing this game in such a complicated way. I hope you can follow me, and if not, just bear with me. I try to get to the bottom of it. So queen a2, again, I thought that this is just a repetition, right? And rook a1 is going to happen, and queen b2, knight b6, and we get to the losing position, which wasn't losing, but I thought it was losing, right? But that's not true, right? And also, my opponent said that he wasn't going to play, rook a1, because his evaluation of the, in my mind, losing line was correct. So I don't even know what he wanted to do. But actually, queen a2 is losing still, because white has knight e7 check, and after king f8, now rook a7. And this is beautiful. It doesn't look that dangerous, but it's actually super, super dangerous, because there is this huge threat of just knight g6. So for instance, if I take on e7, you give me a check on g5, and then I resign. But if I play something casual, because it seems like, oh, there's no threat, there's knight g6, and f takes g6, bishop a6, and I'm getting checkmated. Queen f3 is coming in, game over, right? And okay, maybe you have e5, or I have e5, black has e5, and so the idea is that it takes, and I can take, and queen f3 is always meant by bishop f4, blocking the check. But now a lot of moves. The rook c1, for instance, is winning. Takes, and now I can't block it on f4. Anyway, but we both missed knight e7. So, or at least, maybe he would have found it. I don't know. If I remember correctly, he didn't say anything about knight e7 when we had the little conversation after the game. But anyway, I didn't even play queen a2 because I thought that this was, as I said, just a repetition. He gains time. We're one step closer to move 40, and then he plays the winning line. So because of it, I played queen a3, and I was like, okay, well, this is not great. I'm going to commit to the position where I'm going to be down in exchange. But that was actually good for me. And I think we both thought that this queen a3 is just, like a desperation move, and this is not good. But again, and it's true, it's not good, but again, not for the reason that we thought. So he played bishop g5, but it's actually not that dangerous. The winning move was knight c7. Now, this is something that we both missed. I completely missed them, but I think he also completely missed. Because rook b8, and now white has queen g4. And I'm actually, weirdly enough, I'm getting checkmated. Okay, the lines are not easy. But I'm actually getting checkmated. So let's say I go back to e7, trying to trap the knight. And then, either rook c1. Rook c1 is also like close to winning, but also a move like e5, which is not an easy thing to say. C, right? So takes, and then queen h4. King f8, bishop g5, and bishop f6 is coming, queen h8, and the famous, some famous checkmates here. Let's say you run, but rook c1, queen b6, queen h8, queen h7, and I'm getting destroyed. Now, this is not that easy to see, of course, and that's why he didn't do it, but it was winning. Now, he played bishop g5, right? He played bishop g5, and bishop g5 is actually, I thought it's bad, but, bad for me, but it actually wasn't that bad. E takes e5, bishop takes d8, and d takes e4. And again, I couldn't really make a decision here. I couldn't really make up my mind. Rather, I was like, is it good? Do I have enough compensation? I should have been more confident here. I feel like that was one of the issues, that I wasn't confident enough, because after the game he told me he didn't like this. He thought that I'm just straight up better, and he's actually not wrong. I'm not better, objectively speaking, it's equal, but black has absolutely zero problem whatsoever. Play bishop g5, and here the next three moves are just gonna be again, for the lack of the better word, the absolute dog shit by me. I mean, it's I don't even know. So what is one of the first moves that we see in this position for black? Very natural, easy development. No question about it, right? I play, develop my bishop, bring my rook into the game. Maybe e3 is coming. Great, right? Obvious move. Even if you're low on time, just like me, right? You play bishop f5 and you don't even think. Now, what did I do? I played queen a5, which is not bad, but it's mid. Yeah, bishop b3. Then again, if you have like 30 seconds on the clock, right? What is the first move that you consider? A developing move, bishop b6. Come on, like the basic stuff. No, just improve your pieces. And of course, so you want to block the pawn. It makes sense. Anyway, what did I do? I played bishop d7. For what? For why? I don't know. But this is still not horrible. Maybe a potential like bishop b5, bishop d3, whatever. Still okay. Now king g1. And here, this is the last move. This just puts the nail in the coffin. I can't even explain it. Now, one of the first moves that you see is queen d5, right? Block, good position. Actually, black is completely fine here. I played a6. You might ask me why, and my answer is I don't know, because I'm an idiot. That's very much the reason. Yeah. Okay, rook c1, rook d8 makes sense. Makes absolute no sense. Absolute no sense. I don't even know what was the thought process behind it. Rook c1, rook d8. Rook c5, queen b6, d5, queen b4, and of course now white is basically winning. If white plays something like bishop h6, I think it's the game ends soon. Now my opponent started playing a little bit incorrectly. He also got into time trouble here, so that kind of what saved me, or what could have saved me. Rook e8, and here he made a blunder, rook h4. And unfortunately, I was very low on time, and I think that again I didn't let the game go, but I just knew I kind of like got frustrated that I knew I had much better chances in this game, and I feel like I shouldn't be in this situation right now. And so I think that time pressure and the somewhat the frustration because of it, I just didn't find the right move. I played bishop f5, but there is a very easy way for me to equalize. He blundered, and of course, again, after the game, he told me this, and I got so frustrated. He was like, he told me, like, oh, he was sitting there and he was like, oh, please don't see it, please don't see it. And then luckily for him, I didn't. So comment down below what you think is the best move for black. I feel like it's that's like super easy to find. It's not even a question, but still, if you made it this far in the video, feel free, yeah, to share your winning idea or like equalizing idea. I played bishop f5, d6, bishop e6, bishop e7. I think that the position is already over, but again, I was faced with the same challenge here. Again, I kind of starting to let this game go, and I played basically the losing move here with f5. Bishop c4 kind of allows me to stay in the game for a little bit longer, because d7, for instance, is a blunder, right? Because I have bishop d3, takes. And I saw this line when I played the move f5, and I was like, oh, what did you do? You idiot! You could have taken on c4. But the opponent can just simply take back, and okay, takes, and rook takes c4, and this is still a bad position for me, even though this is equal material, but I can't really make a move, so I'm lost, but at least I'm still like fighting. After f5, I'm not fighting, right? Because rook c7, bishop e5, and d7, and the game ends. Bishop takes, queen d4, and then I resign because I did get checkmated eventually on the h-file. So unfortunate. But yeah, so that's it. from me for this game. I feel like I definitely could have made a better result here. I could have played better. I miscalculated a ton. I misevaluated a ton. So yeah, this was not my game, unfortunately. And also, memorization is a biatch. So yeah, still things to improve upon, I guess. All right. Well, as I said, that's it. Before I end this video, just a quick announcement. The Hungarian League starts very soon, the Hungarian Team Championship. So I'm going to play some games there as well. I'm going to also recap those games. But I have some material planned already after all the recaps are done, so stay tuned for that. And I also, there's some exciting things happening, so hopefully I can share those as well very soon. But yeah, for now, that's it, one by one. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something as usual, and I will see all of you in the next video. All right, take care, guys.